found my perfect sound. Can you see the fire in my eyes? Bitch, it's burning out. Lightning in a bottle, I think I just found my perfect sound. Can you see the fire in my eyes? Bitch, it's burning out.
Go ahead, eliminate Finn at first place. Yes.
All right. We just had to get that part out of the way. Now we're good. Oh my god! And now Zoom thinks I'm playing music. I hope it didn't just. Did it? Did you even hear that?
I heard the end of the song. Well, we had to have
No,
Ed's
but did you?
intro.
That's what I was just making sure you hear Ed because
Yeah.
Zoom was like, "Oh, should we cut that out?"
No, we're
Fucking
leaving that in because you know what? You know what they say about breakfast? It's the most important meal of the day. Well, Ed is the most important segment of this podcast. So we
If
need
that's
it.
so, then that's why nobody watches.
And a lot of people don't eat
say anything.
breakfast now
It's
that
not
I'm
even
thinking
here.
about it. So
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to get like a granola bar or something in, so I'm not starving come lunchtime. But let's talk about some prospects. It's a shame Ed isn't here to make masturbation jokes about Rashad Bateman because neither of us are going to do it. But yeah, got
wide
some tight ends,
receivers, tight
some
ends.
receivers
Well,
today.
one tight end.
One tight end, and then a few other like guys that might play tight end sometime in the future. You know, maybe this will end up being like a historic tight end class. Maybe we're just sleeping on these guys. They're going to end
There
up
are
being
some
really good.
legendary names in here. Pat something.
I don't know. I've
Irma?
heard it pronounced, and
Irma?
I still cannot pronounce it. So I'm
I've
just going to
honestly
leave
never
that.
heard it pronounced. So
I've heard it, but I still it's not it. He's not, like he's also not baby Gronk. I'm gonna get that out of the way now. But he came in at just gonna get these out of the way quick. He came out at number 2 on the list. Obviously, Pitts is 1. If you don't have Pitts at 1, you're stupid. Stop. Just stop. Stop. Go away.
we were talking before this episode started. Kyle Pitts is an automatic. Like a team drafts him to start to get work.
He's probably going to like the Falcons or Miami or something, and he's automatically going to be
utilized. Yeah.
So like if he goes to Miami, he's going to be their number 1 receiver as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what I'm hoping for. But yeah, Pitts, something, Pat, good old Pat, it's like 75% of TJ Hawkinson. So like he should be decent in 3 seasons.
Pat.
I had Brevin Jordan at 2, but he comes in at 3 on our list. To me, he's the guy most likely to be like a standout receiving tight end in this class other than Pitts. And that's kind of what we're looking for as fantasy players. I couldn't give a shit about their blocking. Does not matter. Blocking doesn't earn points.
Well, some may say
It's
that's how they get in the
fantasy.
game. That's how they get opportunity to.
I'd rather them just
blocker.
be so good at catching the ball. The coach is like, why would I want him to block? Yeah, Tommy Tremble at 4, maybe a little untapped upside there. Notre Dame's got a really good tight end in Meyer. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but whatever the fuck his name is. Not important. But Tremble, little untapped upside there, potentially, maybe decent receiver, solid athletically, can block. Guy worth monitoring. And then number 5 on our list, Hunter Long. Kind of boring to me. I had Trey McKitty 5. I'm all about that athleticism. Brandon, any thoughts?
I have no thoughts on anyone outside of Pat and Pitts.
I barely even have thoughts on Pat. Brevin Jordan, though. My man is probably going to do nothing, but like I'm betting on that athleticism. But like if you're drafting these in redraft, Pitts is really the only name that matters here.
Yeah.
So on to these receivers. And this is I think this is going to be actually a very deep receiving class personally. I mean, 2/3 of these guys will probably bust because that's just the way it is. But I like a lot of the names on this list. It's kind of hard for me to do this. All right, but anyway.
I liked all of these names down to 8. Like 1 through 8 are all like names that I would like to grab in a dynasty rookie draft.
I agree with that. After that, I mean, I was lower on St. Brown. All right, I'll just go through our consensus. Chase at 1, Devontae Smith at 2. People are sleeping on him for some reason, but whatever. Rashad Bateman at 3, Jalen Waddle 4, Rondale Moore at 5, Elijah Moore at 6, I had him at 4. It's going to be good. Promise you. Hello, Riley. Terrace Marshall at 7. Brown, UNC Brown at 8. Can't pronounce that first name. There's a Y where I feel like there's normally not a Y.
Diami Brown.
Is that how you pronounce it?
I
Diami?
would pronounce it Diami Brown, something
That's
like
probably
that.
not accurate then. It's probably Dammy or something.
I believe I've heard it as Diami Brown. Diami Brown. Diami.
I don't remember personally, but Brown 8. Amon-Ra St. Brown. Amon-Ra St. Brown. I butchered the flow there, but it is what it is. And then we had Tylan Wallace at 12. Amari Rogers, and a guy you're probably, if you're watching to this point, a guy you're probably wondering where we put him. Kadarius Toney, chilling down there in the 11-ish range, him and Amari Rogers. None of us are very, very big on him. I will admit that, like, the athleticism is neat, and the short-term, like, burst and quickness and speed and get off and yada, yada, yada is neat, but, like, it's the NFL, man. You aren't just walk around people.
Yeah.
And, like, he's a gadget player his first 3 years, and then, like, he had a pretty decent year in his final season. But I don't know. It's going to get a lot harder in the NFL. And apparently teams are afraid that, like, he's too passionate about rapping and then he's going to stop playing football and start rapping. And, like,
I don't know
really
about that.
that, but, like, that's something, I guess. Dynasty owners,
the amount of
beware.
money you're making
Kadarius
playing
Toney
football over rapping is significantly.
Maybe he struggles out the gate and he gets like a big deal. Someone's like, "Oh, what if we bring in this NFL player?" But yeah, maybe he just doesn't want CTE. I mean, couldn't blame him. But all right, yeah, that's the list. Yes, Brandon, you want to get into some of this? I got some comments then.
I mean, jump into Ja'Marr Chase.
Let's go, guy.
We didn't go.
I don't even have anything to say about that. He's the number one.
That's what I was going to say.
Period. Like,
yeah.
That's it. He's the one. He's going to be a wide receiver one, and he's going to be like a top 10 receiver within a few seasons, if not as early as like 2022.
And the only things you can say about Devonta Smith is just his size.
That he's small, but he's like, there's a lot of small receivers, so I'm not buying that shit. And like, he plays bigger than his size. To me, he was an easy number 2. I have no fears with him. I mean, I thought he's been the best Alabama receiver on that team for years now, and that includes like Judy and Ruggs. And I'm still very high on Judy, but Smith is the guy.
Yeah,
he's a guy. Yeah.
Rashad Bateman. Ed's not here to back his man.
Yeah, Bateman.
I had him equally as high.
Ed had him at 2.
What I saw with him.
I had him at 5. I actually contemplated having him a little bit lower, but I decided to move him up a little bit. I feel like I'm being too harsh. I don't know. I don't think his play speed is as high as his 40 speed, but I thought that with some guys last year, and they were like, "Nah, turns out you were wrong." So maybe. I mean, great route runner. Some scouts question his ability to go across the middle in the NFL or his demeanor. I don't know about any of that, but I think he'll definitely at least be solid. And like with his skills, I feel like if he's going to be good, you can expect like landing spot dependent, obviously. But like if he goes somewhere, I feel like he could push for snap pretty quickly. So
yeah,
a good name to be aware of in redraft. 4, we had Waddle. I know you're a little lower on him than Ed and I were.
I'm sleeping on him. When it comes to speedy wide receivers, I get a little timid with them.
See, but he's not like he's. I mean, you have Rondale at like. Would you have Rondale at like 5?
I had him at 4, I believe.
To me, Waddle is a superior version of him. I mean, like Waddle's not just like a deep threat. Like Waddle is very much like a gadgety type player, but like he's. I don't know, like the words I've heard described is that he's got 8 heads. He's got 20 sets of eyes. Like my man sees everything.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like, you want the ball in his hands, and he's going to go out and make people miss, and he's going to score. I mean,
I feel like
the fact that
with speedy receivers, I feel like they first have to land in a system that will utilize them correctly. Because if they don't, then it's I don't know, their abilities. If he lands with like the Lions, I'm not going to be thrilled about it. But if he landed with, I don't know, a team.
He's the type of guy I'd love to give to Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah, that was the next team.
Fortunately, I don't think
Yeah,
they're going to be drafting him at 3. But I mean,
They
yeah,
moved
I could see that. He's the type of dude that you want the team to put the ball in his hands. You don't want him to just kind of like be out there running around on his own, like as the secondary option every freaking play.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, you're probably not getting the most out of him. I feel like his route running could use improvement, but I mean, he gets touches, which he should, because he's just dynamic as hell. I mean, he's one of the best kick returners that I've ever seen in college football. And I don't know if they'll be used as that, but that would be pretty neat. But like, get on the ball, it's good. Anyway, 5, the aforementioned Rondale Moore. Tree trunks for legs, 5'7", injury concerns, but when he gets the ball, he can go places with it. So,
Now I keep hearing he was injury prone, or there's injury concerns surrounding him.
yeah.
What other injuries? I know last season I read that he had a nagging hamstring injury.
He's been
Other than
injury
that-
prone for like multiple seasons.
Has he? Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I
that's
think
a
it's
little
wiped out
concerning.
a solid like 2 years.
But then again, I feel like his play style is very physical. Like a lot of the plays.
Yeah, I
I've
mean, for a
seen
little
of
guy,
him,
he's kind of like a running back. Really.
Yeah, he reminds
like
me
a
of like a
running back playing receiver.
Debo Samuel almost.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I definitely like the talent, but I would be worried about like sustainability, which is why I had him lower than the other Moore on the list. Elijah Moore came in at number 4 for me personally. I'm a big fan of his. I mean, maybe I'm just biased because I've watched a lot of them, but like, man can play, and if you can beat up the SEC, I think you can do some damage in the NFL. And to me, he's got like the versatility. I know he's mostly a slot at Ole Miss, but I think he's got the speed and like the toughness to be an outside receiver, really to be anything receiver. I think he can do it all. I'm big on him. I almost put him over Waddle. I almost put Waddle at 5, actually. To me, I had Chase, Smith, Waddle, Moore, Bateman, Moore, Brown, Marshall, but like anyone in that 3 to 8 group, I feel like you could flip them around any way you wanted to. I think they're all decent, pretty good prospects.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got anything? Probably don't have much to say about Elijah Moore.
Not much about Elijah.
We're gonna have Elijah Moore at 10.
I had him pretty low, yeah.
Nonsense. Yeah. Sorry.
I was impressed with some
Gonna
of these guys, yeah.
Yeah, let's see. All right. Let's see. 7. Terrace Marshall. Not as productive without the Burrow, Chase, Jefferson trio, but I mean, I guess that's to be expected a little bit. But big guy, speedy guy, kind of like a diet Mike Williams. So I do think he'll definitely. It would be nice. No, where do I want him to go? I've heard a lot of like Baltimore as a landing spot for him, and that's like, can we not do that?
Any one of these guys land in Baltimore, I'm
Can we
off.
not?
I'm not going
Yeah,
to look their way.
I'm not
in
very
fantasy.
into the Baltimore. Although, like, maybe if Marshall could be like a better, what's his name? A better Miles Boykin. Like, it seemed like they had some success going to Boykin, so maybe if they invested the capital in like a Marshall Bateman, it might like inspire them to actually go that direction a little bit more. But then, like, maybe if they'll just steal all of Mark Andrews' targets, or Mark Andrews will maybe just continue to get all of his targets, and they won't have any for the new guy. I don't know. Either way, it's scary. I don't know where I want Marshall to go, but keep him out of Baltimore.
Yeah, they need someone.
Let's
They're
go to
drafting. They have to draft a receiver,
What do you think, Bill?
or they're
Keep him
getting
receiver?
Antonio Brown. I put the odds in drafting a receiver.
That would be
They just have to, because
fun.
they only
Gotcha.
have Hollywood Brown, Willie Snead's gone. What, is Dez Bryant going to play another year?
He's going to start.
Are you really rolling with Dez Bryant as your 2?
He's going to start. Yeah. Marshall, have you got anything to say about Marshall?
I didn't mind him. I mean, without, like you said, Burrow and all those guys, you're going to see a little lackluster season compared to his last. But, I mean, with that in mind, he lands at 7. I feel like that's still a pretty good landing spot for him.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's just gonna depend on if he goes to like the freaking
I would
just the
say
Ravens or anywhere else. Try to think of another team that I'd want him to go with.
Green Bay
Green
would
Bay.
be a great
be
place for any. I know Chase is probably going top 10, so Green Bay is out
I
of
would
the
imagine
question.
Chase is probably going to like
Top
Miami or
5,
Cincinnati.
top
I wouldn't really have.
something. But
I would assume he doesn't get past those two guys or those two teams.
But like outside of Chase, like any of these players lands in Green Bay, I think they're gonna have an immediate role and they're gonna have an
Hopefully they
impact.
don't bench them for Alan Lazard. All right. Anyway, on to Diami. Something Brown. I had him at 7. We have him at 8. Pretty close. I mean, I like him. I feel like, the dude just gets open, and there's something to be said about that. I mean, he averaged 20 yards per catch in multiple seasons at UNC. Like, that's kind of difficult. And, people, like, I've heard questions about, like, his ability to get open against press coverage in the NFL. Yeah, whatever, man. The dude just, like, he got open in college. So, I'm going to take that bet. I like him as a decent option. I like a 2 or a 3, but like that's nothing to shake a stick at in fantasy, as an old person might say.
Yeah, I think he could be a sleeper in this draft. He's quick.
I do think I feel like I
hearing-
haven't heard his name like much at all.
I know. I listened to a few things and I only heard his name brought up like once or twice. And I looked more into him because I was wondering why he wasn't being brought up, and I still am
UNC,
wondering
I
why he
guess. I
hasn't
don't
been
know.
brought up because he looks great. He's
UNC.
great route running,
ACC.
physical. His stop starts is just, or not stop start. Yes, his start stops is pretty great. I think he's a good sleeper to keep in
I think
mind.
he has a role in the NFL. Number 9, Amon-Ra St. Brown. To me, he's just kind of like ho-hum slot receiver type. Probably not a lot more than that, but like that's a decent fantasy option. This is a pretty strong draft for slot receivers, which happen to be pretty solid fantasy receivers. So that would be interesting.
Yeah.
I don't really have much on Brown. He's just good in the slot. So, again, pretty landing spot dependent. But if he goes to the right spot, he could, to me, have an impact year 1.
Mm-hmm.
That's all we've got on that. Number 10, Tylan Wallace, Oklahoma State. This is, to me, another. Maybe people are sleeping on it, but I don't know. A lot of it's gonna depend on like the health of his knee. Because like, if that's not all the way back, honestly, he might need kind of like maybe not like a redshirt year, but like a year in the training room a little bit, just to kind of like, get that knee back to where it was. Because I thought he was a pretty damn good prospect like before the knee injury. I think he would have been higher on this list otherwise. He's a solid receiver on the outside, probably like a number 2-ish. That's pretty good. But that knee up, need that knee to be right.
Yeah, it's important to have knees to be a NFL
It is important
player.
to have knees. It turns out that to get open, you do need your knees. That was something I've learned in my studies, that knees are important.
Yeah.
It's all about the knees. Anyway, that's the 10. Some honorable mentions. We had, again, Amari Rogers and Kadarius Toney just out of the top 10. If Toney blows up, then, like, whatever. I would take that bet. But, like, to me, I think there's a lot of other guys that I'd rather take the risk on with a lot longer track records and, like, better production. I feel like we're getting a little too caught up in the Tyreek Hill comparisons.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not saying it. I don't think that's happening. And Amari Rogers, I had a 9 on my list personally. I think he's going to be a pretty good slot option in the NFL. And like, again, very landing spot dependent, but I think he could push he could have an impact year 1 if he goes to the right spot. And some other dudes that just missed the list. Seth Williams, not very big on him. He kind of reminds me of what was that dude that you like? Colin Johnson last year, the dude that was just like big.
He's just tall,
That's it,
6
he's
foot
just tall.
6, something like that. Colin Johnson is.
Kind of like
Hey,
feel about.
sometimes like those players, no one's talking about him. Colin Johnson, I don't think anyone talked about him. I don't even know if he
For
was
good
drafted
reason.
in rookie draft. But like,
Mm.
why not just throw in a feeler?
And
Pick 'em
did do
up.
shit. I like Anthony Schwartz from Auburn more than I do Williams, but each their own. Also, dudes on the list were Terry from Florida State, but I mean, good luck to that. The tools are there, but are you getting production out of it? I don't know. Maybe a decent option in like the third round if you're drafted through a dynasty. And then Jalen Darden and Dwayne Eskridge, a couple smaller dudes from smaller schools. Are they
I was
going to
gonna
do
say
anything in the
Darden.
NFL? I don't know, but like maybe. Yeah, more slot options. Maybe that's just all this draft is just slot. Outside of like the top couple and Bateman and maybe Brown or Marshall. Wallace maybe. Maybe that's a couple, but that's it. Yeah, it's receivers.
I
Brandon?
personally cannot
away.
wait for this week. This episode's going to drop
Do something.
one of Tuesday or Wednesday, so you know what that means. The draft's coming. It's just a few days away. I'm so excited. You can see the excitement radiating from Alex. He's hyped.
Friday. Can't get excited about it.
And then the
I'll
week
get excited
after-
about it Thursday night.
The week after, May 4th, comes the rebrand. It's the drop of the rebrand. Our website's coming out. Alex has an article coming out with the website. We're gonna have everything.